Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second session. As a matter of fact, I've been given the toughest session for the day. I have to address a very hungry crowd just shortly before lunch. So we'll try to do our best, and I'm very sure that the panelists here today will keep you excited and intrigued with the insights that they'll be sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the day, what we've heard so far is that Malaysia is caught in the middle-income country trap. I'm not going to go on further on that, but another dimension that I'd like to add is that if we look at where Malaysia has been, according to the World Bank, after the Second World War, Malaysia is one of the 13 countries in the whole wide world that has sustained consistently more than 7% of annual growth, all the way from the 70s up to the 90s. Eventually, only 6 of the 13 countries made it to become high-income nations, and unfortunately, Malaysia is not one of them. And some of these 6 countries include Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and of course, our beloved next-door neighbors, Singapore. Now, certainly, there is a glaring problem with this, and one of the symptoms of a stagnating economy, or a country that's stuck in the trap, is the percentage of the services sector to the GDP. And for the last 20 years, Malaysia has been hovering at about 50%, which is really, really flat compared to the high-income nations, which exceed more than 60%. Now, however, if you dissect further, if you look at the financial services sector within the services sector, the growth of the financial services sector has outpaced and has grown faster than the real GDP by about 3% for the last 3 years. So that is something very promising, and the government is certainly looking at the financial services sector as one of the engine for growth, especially in the new economic model. So against this backdrop, today the panelists will try to explore some of the areas of concerns and the issues that we Malaysians will be facing in order to make this shift. Joining me today, I have Dato' Sharon Khazanah. He is the Deputy CEO of CIMB, in particular the commercial and investment banking side. And also we have Mr. Michael Fung, who is the Senior Executive Partner of Accenture. As always, it's a pleasure to be in the masculine club up here. Pleasure to me, and welcome all. Now, Dato', I'm going to start with the very first question, and let's try to keep this very interactive. In terms of preparedness, it is granted and given that globalization or liberalization is inevitable because Malaysia has international obligations and commitments in the GATS as well as in the ASEAN Free Trade Framework Agreement. Now, pursuant to this, the government has very recently, on the 29th of April and the 30th of June, announced a series of measures to liberalize the sector, particularly the services sector. Now, what's interesting is that the government has allowed the increase of foreign ownership in investment banks and Islamic banks up to 70% from the existing 49%. Now, strangely enough, that was not done for the commercial banks. The foreign ownership for foreign ownership in the commercial banks remain at about 30%. So the question is to you is twofold. First of all, collectively as a group, are the financial institutions in Malaysia ready to face the competition from highly capitalized foreign players as well as their sophisticated products? And B, specifically on the commercial banks, why is there an anomaly in the policy? And what sort of signals are we sending to the market in terms of the competitiveness of our commercial banks?